Alright everybody, trying something a little bit different today. Good morning everybody. Dawn of dusk here. It's been a little while since my last vlog, and I just wanted to kind of bring all 2 subscribers I have up to date. Of course I don't do this for subscribers, but I don't have many. I was only getting started, and then had to take a little break for a while for some personal reasons and for some technical reasons, and I just want to go over those 2 things now. First, I'm going to kind of do this in 2 parts so that I don't bore you to death. A while back I started vlogging and I was really enjoying it. Motorcycle vlogging. And I was really having a good time with it. I was enjoying it. I was learning and I was getting into it and trying to get out a video once a week, and then I kind of fell off of the map, which often happens, you know, as a person who follows a lot of other motovloggers. There's a pattern of that where guys do it for a period of time, some guys even for an extended period of time, and then they kind of just fall off the map. It had to do with my wife and I separating. And I briefly want to go over why that happened and how devastating that was. The first thing you need to understand is that I loved and still do love my wife dearly. I mean, she is my best friend. And we were as best friends. We did everything together. We shared similar interests. We were really very close. In 2011, we came down to Central Florida, bought a house here from New York City, where we both lived for most of our lives. And I think that's important. It's also important to understand, and this is not going to be the focus of this, but that my wife and I are also Christian people. We're believers, and we came to that together, and our walk has been together. So, you know, just to try to preface this story, it's important to understand that we were really very close, and because we were so close, I kind of never saw this coming. Now to give you a little bit of background on why this happened, or how this happened. Her oldest son is, he's going to be 23. And we've never gotten along extraordinarily well, mostly because he lacks ambition, a little bit too laid back. He's the kind of kid that, you know, spends 16 to 20 hours playing his Xbox. Not motivated for school, not motivated for work, that sort of thing. It got to the point a couple of years ago when he was 18 years old. He's probably just about to be 19. That my wife gave him an ultimatum. He could either get a full-time job, go to school, or find somewhere else to go. And it was the right thing to do, because he needed the motivation. He was just going nowhere with life. He had absolutely zero direction. Well, he opted to go back up to New York to live with a father that he had been estranged from for 10 years. Bear with me, guys. I have a lapel mic coming, so I won't have to handhold this thing for too long. So, he went up to New York to live with a father who he really didn't know anymore. And that lasted for about a month. And the father kicked him out because he was basically laying around the house all day. It actually wasn't the father, it was the new wife, the stepmother that just couldn't take it. And he went to live with my wife's mom, his grandmother then after that, who also lives in New York. And there he was for about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half, close to 2 years. And during this time, he did not speak to my wife. He was angry. I don't think I have to go into too much detail about the entitled type, and this is an entitled generation. Whether you're part of it or not, I don't mean to offend. I certainly don't blanket everyone with that. I have a 19-year-old son who's a Marine and very motivated in life, but the point being, he felt slighted by his mother for having put him out, and they didn't talk. After about a year and a half, they started to talk again via text. And it was sporadic, but became more frequent. And he decided he wanted to come down to Florida to visit, which was fine. I had no objection to that whatsoever. That's her son. I know she loves him regardless of his past, and I was completely supportive of him coming down to visit. So he came on down to Florida. And as his time was getting near to go back home, he approached me and he said, I'm thinking of coming back down here. And I said, well, it won't be here to live. And he said, no, I have a job offer. It's working on a garbage truck for waste management. 10-hour days, $100 a day. It's $10 an hour. 6 days a week. And it would afford me a place to live and transportation and so forth and so on. And I thought it was a terrible idea. And I told him, I said, you have to remember, you've never worked a day in your life. To suddenly jump onto a garbage truck here in Central Florida, which I don't know if any of you are familiar with our Central Florida weather, it requires a person who has a certain fortitude, which I don't feel he has. So I kind of discouraged him, explained to him it'd be very difficult for him. And I talked to him about going to a recruiter, specifically a Navy recruiter, and seeing what a recruiter might offer. And he was a little bit hesitant with that, but after thinking about it, he was willing to go and at least talk to the recruiter. So we took a ride to the recruiter, and he sat down with the guy, and they spent a couple hours. He did the sort of the preliminary ASVAB, which he did very well on. I think he missed by a point. That was without any studying. But the recruiter found that he was about 25 pounds overweight. But the recruiter told him not to worry about that, because he would meet once a week on Thursdays with kids who were in a similar situation, and they would do PT, physical training, right there at the recruiting station. And he promised him that if he just stuck to a reasonable diet and met him that one day a week, he would have him fit to fight by November. Now, this was back in June. He would have him fit to fight by November, and he would have no problem making weight, so forth and so on. And the recruiter also encouraged him to join a gym. So he went back home, where he had a girlfriend, by the way. And it took him about a month to get back down to Florida, which of course delayed that getting into shape, because now it's set him back a month. When my wife picked him up, we talked about taking him right to the gym to get him a membership. This way it was something he can get on right away. So before he even came to the house, he had his gym membership. Well, fast forward a little bit, and a week goes by. He hasn't met with the recruiter. He hasn't gone to the gym. And then it became 2 weeks. And then 3 weeks. No recruiter, no gym. Meanwhile, He's eating donuts and laying in his room on a computer all day long. Well, by about the 4th week, I had just about had it. I was completely frustrated. I had completely lost hope. And I made a big mistake, and it's a problem I've had my whole life, and that is that I totally withdrew. By that I mean that I picked a part of the house and I stuck to it and I withdrew from everybody, and that was a mistake. She has 2 other children, and even with them I was just very distant. And that's something I'm very repentant for, and that I recognize as a flaw that I need to work on. But that having been said, it's what I did. Now mind you, this is, by the time this went on, we're talking August. Mid-August. And my wife and I basically just stopped talking. We slept in the same bed, but that was about it. Communication was about 0. And on the morning of November 7th, my wife got out of bed, started to pack, told me she was putting stuff in storage, but it was obvious that wasn't true. You don't store shampoo. And she basically moved out. And now since that time, since she left, we have been working on things and we've made progress. Are we out of the woods? No, we're not. She's living in a place about 20-25 minutes from the house with the 3 kids. So that's where we are, guys. I'm like I said, I am appreciative of any support that I get. It's been a difficult time. It's been a lonely time. It's been a frustrating time. I love my wife. I still see her as my best friend. Separation is painful. You know, I think that we, a lot of times we tend to sympathize with the women in these situations. I shouldn't make that blanket statement. I know I always have in the past. When you hear about separation, my heart has always gone out to the women. They tend to be more emotional about these type of things, but I have to tell you, as men, we hurt just as bad. And this really, this cut me to the core. It really cut me to the core. But I'm okay. And you know, it's been motovlogs, vlogging in general, not just motovlogs, but vlogging in general has really inspired me, because sometimes just sitting back and watching these people who you almost have a pseudo relationship with some of them. You know them and you watch their videos every day, and they become, it's an odd thing, but you feel as though you know these people. And they, you know, watching vlogs really helped me during this time. And so this is why I feel like it's time to give back a little bit. And not that I think my vlogs are carrying anybody through any difficult times. But nevertheless, hey, you never know. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to putting out more videos soon. This is Dawn of Dusk. Bye-bye.